and they dart out in front of it, and you don't see them do right at home. And then there's something like that.
Yes.
All right, how you doing? Well, once you put it on, you gotta just. I'm sure he does. He does. This is good.
Yes, sir, and we draw, whenever we shortly draw the dust, and then we can make sure that Mr. Long, that's how we doing the.
John, how you doing? I didn't hear any of that.
So to speak, so to speak.
Liberate.
Yeah.
We'll be gone.
Before we ready for it.
Is it up now?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a
That's
good.
it, we have to, every month, we have to take out the bond service test, a certain amount that they hold on accounts. So when they
Yes.
go on, or pay the insurance, they take out one bond, they take out another one. Correct, and it's just like $20,000 off the top of the month. We have to do that, then it's a matter of, making sure we have enough cash flow to meet the obligations of the department, we don't get the whole bill for 2 or 3 months.
I don't think it's in time. Cause it don't seem you sitting there. Yeah, it does not.
It's only, there's a 30
It's
to.
it's a big time delay. Look here, you're still sitting there.
It's 30 to 45 minutes, 45-second delay. That's normal.
Lisa, we're ready?
We are up.
Everybody for coming tonight for the city council meeting, January the 5th, 2021. We made it through 2020. Thank you, bow your heads, we'll say a word of prayer before we start. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this night. Lord, thank you for all your many blessings you've done for us and given us. We ask God that you guide and direct us in all that we say and do, our actions and our manners, Lord, that honor and glorify you in all that we do. And just lead us to help us to be responsible for what we're doing for the city of Darlington. All these things we ask in your name, in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, everybody. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a motion for approval of the minutes of the city council meeting from 12/1/2020. Questions on that?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the city council meeting from 12/1/2020.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Milling? Ms. Backus? Right? Sears? All very good? It's approved? All right, do I have a motion to approve, for approval of the meeting agenda for tonight?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve our meeting agenda for Tuesday, January 5, 2021.
A second.
Mr. Mills? Beck? Right? Sears? Thank you. Motion's carried. All right, report of standing committees, the Darlington Downtown Revitalization Association, Mrs. Rock.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
The DDRA will be presenting 3 individuals with $100 cash for our annual Holiday Shop Darlington contest to Linda Dove, Ed Howard, and Otis Lawhon. The contest encourages folks to shop at 5 different businesses between Thanksgiving and Christmas. The entry forms were available on buildupdarlington.org, in the news and press, and on the city water bill insert. We had about 100 shoppers submit their receipts and entries, and they purchased more than $11,000 worth of goods in Darlington with an average purchase of $27.66. We plan to present these prizes at the end of the week. The DDRA will begin our monthly member breakfasts at 8 a.m. on Thursday, January 28th at Taki's Diner. These meals are at no charge for members and a small $5 fee towards the meal for all others. And these events allow our businesses to build connections and strengthen our local economy. The Board of Directors also welcomed 2 new members this month, Pastor Corey Milling and Miss Beth York. Both represent downtown businesses and bring fresh ideas and energy to the board. Also, the board today has approved $4,000 for facade grants in 2021. The DDRA Improvement Incentive Grant Program helps businesses and property owners to make repairs, install signage, and paint their properties. Since its inception, the program has been in direct connection with projects totaling more than $177,000 worth of upgrades. The grant deadline is the 24th of each month until funds are exhausted. We are also making plans for our annual golf tournament this spring, the return of the Taste of Darlington possibly in the fall, depending on the COVID restrictions, and again, depending on the COVID restrictions, the Scare on the Square for Halloween. In the meantime, we continue to promote Darlington and its businesses on social media, on our website, buildupdarlington.org, and through our news alert system each week. Our alerts reach more than 2,700 people every week. We continually update our webpage, and individuals can submit information and sign up to receive these alerts online at buildupdarlington.org. Any questions?
Thank you. All right, for the Greater Darlington Chamber of Commerce, instead of Anna DeWitt, it'll be Nancy Matthews tonight.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for your service. The Greater Darlington Chamber is moving forward slowly. We've had some events that have been canceled or postponed because of the situation. We are doing some real positive things. We have an application available for a part-time new director, and that application is available until January the 8th. It can be received by emailing information@darlingtonchamber.com or call any chamber member or myself at my office, Edward Jones. We hope to have someone in place by the end of January and have office hours 3 days a week. So the Chamber is a membership organization. The Chamber has been in existence since 1932 here in Darlington. And the Chamber's mission is to promote business and enhance the community. That's still our mission. We continue to provide resources to businesses and individuals. Hope everyone will call on us. Because the city, and that includes the firefighters, any city employee, all of you all are, and council members are considered members because the city is a member. So that's important because our next event, whether it's a virtual or face-to-face, is going to be our annual banquet, which usually happens in February, probably will not this year. At that time, we recognize outstanding individuals and businesses in the communities of Darlington, Lamar, and Society Hill. Any chamber member can nominate someone to receive one of those awards. And we encourage everyone to think about that and think about what has, who, and what has made a difference in our community in the last year. And if you want to know how to nominate, information at darlingtonchamber.com. As far as events go, there are no definite dates, obviously. We hope to have the annual membership chamber event in March, we hope. We do have a solid date for Freedom Fest, which is that celebration we have in the summer that we did not have last year. That date is Saturday, July the 3rd, and it will take place on the square rather than at the racetrack. We're looking for help, sponsors, encouragement of any sort. And want to remind all that we did do the Fright Fest on the square October 31st, which was a wonderful event with lots of folks, lots of children, no problems, and we're real proud of that fact. Let's see, what have I not mentioned? Okay, applications. If you know someone who would be interested in being a 25 to 30 hour a week chamber director, who would build community, be a positive influence in the community, please encourage them to apply. And if you have any questions, call the chamber number and you'll get a response. Are there any questions?
I have one, Nancy.
Okay.
Does the new person have to live within the city or the county of Darlington?
We want that person to live within the county, we being the board of directors and the membership. We want that person to live in the county of Darlington. We think that's important. So I'm glad you said that. So we encourage anyone who lives within the county of Darlington to apply.
And also, did I understand correctly that our chamber is not just Darlington, it's combined with other smaller towns, correct?
Darlington, Lamar, and Society Hill. Hence the name, the Greater Darlington Chamber. Thank you for pointing that out. Anything else?
With the the Freedom Fest this year, do you plan to have fireworks too?
That's the plan. So we'll be reaching out to arrange all that and get all the permits and everything. Thank y'all so much and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Lisa, was there any citizens wishing to speak? Email them?
Yes, sir. We received 2 written comments and 1 phone call. The first was an email from Mr. Mark Face, and I'm going to read exactly what he wrote here. It says, Happy New Year. I'm writing to request inform council concerning sidewalks. Several sidewalks I walk on regularly are very hazardous. I'm limited to the type of exercise because of my disability. Walking is one of the last things I have, and I also enjoy as my bellow walks with me. Having said that, Spring Street, North Main Street, Blue Street are the main travel for me. They are overgrown with dirt, weeds, leaves, etc., creating hazards. I've slipped several times and am worried of falling. I've reached out to Alex and the mayor, even sent photos to both. On one occasion, crews came out and blew off the leaves, which I appreciate. Keeping the sidewalks clean are not only safe, but will also assist in storm drainage. Thank you and God bless. The second comments for council, citizens wishing to appear. This is Ms. Penny Neal. She has a series of questions. Darlington City Council, number 1, when will Broad Street be finished? Number 2, need to know chemicals used in our water for allergy tests. Number 3, need fire hydrant at the end of Hampton Street. Number 4, iron in water is a health concern and plumbing issues, hot water heater and everything in my house. Number 5, the water meter in my front yard needs fixed. Number 6, water stands in the yard all the time, needs to be fixed. Number 6, crane that picks up the leaves is making holes in the ground and roots on the trees and road. Thank you, please send a response to, and she's included her address and phone number if anyone would like to call her.
What's her address?
She's on Hampton Street, East Hampton.
I believe it's 204 East Hampton.
I can't quite make out the number, if it's 204 or 704. And then
Let's wait to confirm that in the morning, and we'll look it up.
and the last person that, wished to appear before council, they called, just prior to this meeting, trying to find out where we were holding the meeting and how to attend. And I did inform them that we are closing the meetings to all but staff and media. And she asked me to express her opinion. Now, I don't have anything written. I asked her to write something, cause I'm sure I'm not conveying all that she said, cause it was quite a long conversation. But she was very upset, about the water bill. She said it was $100. She's on a fixed income and it keeps getting higher and higher. Is there any way there could be a cap? And that was Ms. Beatrice Wilson who called. And that was the last comment that we received.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yep.
Okay, unfinished business, second reading, ordinance 2020-22, business license enforcement. Any comments on that, questions? Do we have a motion to pass this?
I make a motion that we approve the second reading ordinance 2020-22 for the business license enforcement.
I'll second that.
Mr. Nettles,
Aye.
Millie, Ms. Backus, Peters? Motion carries. Pass the second reading, ordinance 2020-22, business license enforcement was passed. Unfinished business, public hearing, ordinance 2020-23, commercial recycling container fee. Is there anything on that, Lisa? Anything on the public hearing on that?
I received no comments.
All right. So no comments.
I have a
Back to-
question.
Yes, ma'am.
On the public hearing ordinance, was the public informed about the public hearing? Or did we actually have one, or how did we do it?
We announced the public hearing in the newspaper of record for the county, in the news and press, about, 30 days ahead of time, is when it appears in the news and press.
And did it say they could or could not attend, or?
And it gives instructions as far as to write in comments or to call.
Is that legally a public hearing? If they can't attend, they can only,
Ma'am, during the pandemic, those rules, I think, have changed a bit. We give these folks the same opportunity to discuss or put in a comment via a written note or a phone call. As we do for the public comment.
is that legal, Kevin?
There's been a lot of leeway, I talked to the gentleman in the municipal association, throughout the pandemic, as long as people are aware of it and they have an opportunity to voice their concerns, during this time, that they're gonna allow that.
Thank you. All right, second reading ordinance 2020-23, commercial recycling container fee. Is there any comments or questions on this? We have a motion to pass this.
I make a motion that we approve the second reading ordinance 2020-23, commercial recycling container fee.
I will
I'll second it.
Mr. Nelson? Backus? Bryant? Motion carries. Second reading, ordinance 2020-23 commercial recycling container fee is passed. Unanimous. All right, new business, 2019-2020 audit implementation, Bill Hancock, Framingham Group.
Does anyone need a copy of the audit?
He's coming in by Zoom, correct?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hancock is via Zoom, and you can see him there on the, I don't know how well he can hear us, but if you would say hello, and we can.
Hello?
Hello, everybody. Sound check.
Y'all can hear?
We can hear you?
We good?
Yes,
We're
sir.
good, go right ahead.
All right.
Would somebody give me the hot sign if you want me to begin?
Go ahead.
All right. Y'all can hear me okay? Thank you all again, for having the Brittingham Group as, auditors to service the city of Darlington. This is our third year of service, and, I think this was the smoothest, okay? I'm gonna jump around a bit, as I'm confident it's one of the requirements of the reporting presentation. And I'm going to review some, matters that I might have found, and I can call, new items. Hey, I got a pretty good view of you, if something happens, I can burst it up, how I just give you the wave, okay?
Okay, well, we lost a little bit of sound here, is that okay? I can hear you on the laptop, and I'm sure everybody can hear you now. Hold on one second. If you can see me, that's all that matters. All right, say something again. Say something again.
Can you say something else for us, Bill?
Sound check, hello, everybody.
I can barely hear.
Yeah, hold on one second, I'm trying to get another speaker going. $2,000, does anybody have two AA batteries?
I do.
That's Magnesia.
I do.
Oh, that's Magnesia, she always has everything. I was just joking about $2,000.
It's for the.
I'm gonna pay $14,000.
I'm gonna trust you.
But the board bill, you should say mine today.
And I'll pay for it.
It's $14,952.56. 1,700,000 gallons, yeah, drawn. So I pay everybody's bills this quick. I'll have fit, that's all. Because now, they chopped it down to $294. I'm not functioning somewhere.
You take a lot of showers out there?
With a fire hydrant. A million gallons, 1.7 million. How much 2 million gallons?
You got a little pool on that?
Big old electric pool, don't it? That major league there. I'm a little nervous, but they fix it. star peanut butter.
Yes, you do. Chunky, preferably.
Okay? All right, let's try again. Try again.
Now check, 1, 2, 3.
Better?
City of Darlington.
Good. All right, good.
Alright. So, how far did I get before that? Can you start from the beginning?
You're good. Keep going.
Okay. Okay. I would say this is our third year of serving the city's honors, with the privilege again. I think this is the smoothest year yet. I think that, your staff, my staff, the things that we needed to see for evidence documentation were very quickly readily available. You
page 12, you're saying that, the water department will have a deficit of $675,000, we're in the hole, correct?
I'm sorry, man, I'm not really catching that.
We were at $675,000 in the hole, that was from June to June, correct? And to correct that, you said, basically, you're saying that we needed to go up on our water bills, and sanitation and so forth, and that's what we did, but we went up in October, so that will reflect on the following year, correct? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You can't hear him?
I'm not catching any of that, I'm sorry.
Go over to the speaker.
Go up to the laptop, ask them if you can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Does he hear you?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Maybe.
You gotta talk into the mic over.
I mean, the one.
Come down here and ask us.
Come on, yes. Can you hear me, Mr. Bill?
Can you hear us now?
Can you very well, Mr. Mayor, go ahead, please.
Okay, my question is, thank you, from page 12. Page 12. Page 12, is that correct? You were saying we're down $675,000 this year. That was until June of this year. In October, we went up on the water bills, the sanitation department went up, had an increase, and so that should, if everything else stays correct, that should help benefit that deficit the following year when you do it next year, 2021.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, was that a result of a rate study that you folks had?
Yes, sir, we did a rate increase in October. I think that was correct. October is when it took effect. Yes. So that should help.
Okay, that should help, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anybody else have any other questions?
Council needs to vote to accept the audit and to accept the audit results.
Y'all gonna go forward with that?
Hold on one second.
Alright.
Howard, this may just be a question that you can answer, that Bill doesn't need to, but I just noticed that on page 10, there are a number of items that are in the negative. I'm assuming when they're in parentheses, they're in the negative.
Correct.
And I just didn't know whether we were addressing the variances that occurred between what we had budgeted for the 1920 20-year and the actual amounts that were spent, so that we can get a handle on where the excesses, what were the causes for the excessive expenditures.
I can't really speak to anything specifically. Yes, sir, when we do our reckoning with our numbers, we'll address it when we go to department by department. One of the things that we've been concerned about that COVID's affected us with has been in a reduction of the police fines, because the police are not writing as many tickets. Something that's not reflected also in this, for this budget year, is the increase in the building permit fees that we've had due to the additional funds that we've gotten from Georgia Pacific. Some years are gonna be skewed over others because we receive grant funds, and sometimes we have to have an outlay of capital, and we have to pay for the grants up front, we're reimbursed later. So, those are gonna account for some differences. Registrations were down, in the spring because we didn't have any registrations for baseball or softball. So, there are some COVID-related issues with these budget items, because, three months out of the 12, we were affected by, the constraints that were put on us budgetarily by the COVID, virus.
I can understand that. I just think we need to know, when we're looking at, the first one was municipal court, where we weren't having court. So
that
we
was
had
a huge
continuing
drop, yes, sir.
expenses, but we didn't have additional income, but since we weren't having, court, I'm just not sure why we spent more if we weren't, if I'm reading it correctly, if we weren't holding court, why would our expenses have gone up? Just saw, we budgeted $151,000 for municipal court, looks like we spent $383. We budgeted, administration for one thing, and it was another, same thing with the police department, fire department. When we get ready to do our budget for the 21-22 year, I wanna be sure that we are addressing some of these things so that we know whether or not you bring us a figure, that it's gonna be a legitimate figure and not something that can be skewed, or, we know why these figures were skewed so that we don't run into that problem again.
Yes, sir. A lot of this is the first time we've run into it because of the virus. Things that we can handle, we're certainly gonna, work with, and we may, when we get around to looking at those numbers, we may have to make some cuts, or we may have to look at some increases.
Well, I noticed another thing where community promotions were $25,000 in the hole. We weren't having a whole lot of community get-together because of COVID, so I was just wondering why that would be
Community promotions,
$25,000.
that includes, community promotions not only includes money for PDRTA, other things, also that it's not just, get-togethers, things like that. There are things in the budget such as for the Memorial Cemetery Association, for the Lord Cares. There are other things that just come out. So when we say it promotes not just get-togethers, but also nonprofit entities sometimes within the city.
Well, that's fine. I just want to know, we budgeted 25, we spent 50. So we just need to,
On that one, in municipal court, you're more than double your budget.
Yeah.
On that, on our budget a little bit, but those two are big red flags, of more than double the budget. On the budget report.
Without looking at a specific, month-to-month rundown, I do not have a good explanation for that at the moment.
When would we expect reconciliation? When you expect that will happen?
I'm hoping before the middle of February, as far as looking at the first 6 months' numbers.
And when do we start working on budget?
In February.
We need to have that well before the budget starts. We should have that well before we start looking at budget.
We should. The thing that usually holds us back is we're waiting. We get two big, large, property tax, payments. One comes the third week in January, the other one comes the third week in February. So it helps us set a lot of what we're doing. We recently raised our property taxes to the maximum amount, so we should have a good bit more of funds coming in, during the next few months. And the bulk of our funds do come in January and February.
We can see what the difference was. We'll be able to view what the difference was in these, why they went up more than double the budget area.
Well, this was for last year.
Right.
So you'll have an idea, yes, you'll have an idea of that.
So this was 6 months on our clock this time, but 6 months before that, still was, what caused the variance, there's a large variance.
Right.
273,000 the year before that, and then the year before that was a positive 372,000, I think he said. So the last 2 years, it's been negative. Okay. Any further questions? differences, what's going on between the variances on the ones that have a negative difference in, what was budgeted. Okay,
Need to vote to accept the audit.
okay. All right, do we have a motion to
I'll make a
approve the
motion.
audit?
I'll make a motion that we accept the audit
I'll
for
second.
the year ended June 30, 2020, as prepared by the Whittingham Group LLP.
Right, second. Mr. Nettles? Ms. Backus? Seegers? Aye? Okay, motion's carried. Thank you. So next year will be better.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Y'all hear me out?
You can say if you want.
You're saying,
No, thank you. Thank y'all for having us again. We enjoyed this meeting, okay?
thank you. All right, new business, board's, communication appointment. Please.
As I frequently come to y'all, there are always seats available on several boards in your packet, in your planning report. You've got the list of what seats are available on beautification, board of zoning appeals, design review, historic landmark commission, and tree board. And this also includes the list of folks and when their terms end. We did receive an application, from Ms. Carla Elvington. Mr. Nettles, suggested, she apply, to serve on the Historic Landmark Commission. And that's the only person that we had, submit an application.
And so I move that we, appoint Ms. Carla Ellington to the Historical Landmarks and, to commission for that.
I'll second that.
Mr. Millen? Ms. Backus? Lane? Steve, okay, everyone passed, thank you. All right, first reading ordinance 2021-01, transfer ownership from Fountain and Hewitt Streets to Darlington County. Howard?
Darlington County has asked for the possession of Hewitt and Fountain Streets since they're constructing the new judicial center in that area. We did initially have Hewitt and Fountain Streets on the list of streets, the municipal streets to be paved, but we took it off in anticipation of the county wanting these streets, and they have made a request for them. So it's the staff recommendation that we, have first reading on this and eventually end up giving both of these streets to the county as a part of that, section that it'll have for the new judicial center.
Just so we'll be clear, would you describe where Hewitt Street and Fountain Street are located?
Immediately off of North Main Street, above the library, right beside the property that, Daniel Watson and Curtis Boyd have, the two houses there. One was the old, law office of Woodrow Lewis. It makes a fish hook around that property and comes back out in front of the old jail.
Do we have any information from the county in connection with their construction of the courthouse as to whether these streets will be restricted in any way, closed off in any way, or whether they will still be open so that the mayor can get to his property and Jenny Latham can get to her property and.
I understand there's no, I mean, this will be public access still. That's the main, this will be their, Fountain Street's will be their main access point to get into the courthouse. I think it'll be very tight, but, I haven't seen their drawings. They still gotta have access to get to the library, that area back there. They have to have access access to still get on Hewitt Street, which is the, historical commission, which is, we'll be doing work there also.
And if people are coming out of the city-owned parking lot and want to come out that way, they would still be
Yes, sir,
able
that's
to
what we
leave the
access.
city parking lot.
Yes. In my understanding, they're gonna leave it all the same, just, probably gonna make it a little bit wider with Colorado.
And there's a certain number of parking spaces they're adding, onto that site also. So I'm not sure if it would be one way or not, but they may have a directional challenge where they send the traffic one way or the other. But I can't speak specifically to that.
We're still supposed to use the entrance point between the old Belps building over by Mineral Roman and all that area. Right now, that's a one-way entrance there, so, I haven't seen this go a one-way, but I'm sure that would still have to be one-way because they can't move the buildings. But they're saying they can use that point and, City Lane to still come into the parking area back there, is what I've been told. But they'll be responsible for that, those streets. Any further questions? We have a motion to,
I'll motion to approve first reading ordinance 2021-01 transfer ownership of Fountain and Hewitt Street to Darlington County.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Mr. Milling? Ms. Backus? Ms. Lane? Mr. Sears? Okay. Motion is carried for passage of the first reading ordinance 2021-01 transfer ownership of Fountain and Hewitt Streets to Darlington County. All right, City of Darlington lighting ordinance, discussion. Alice, would you like to talk about what you had?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I spoke to Howard and, Curtis about, the lighting in front of, I'm not sure if it's Circle B or what, the convenience store at the corner of, Farm Street and Main Street. I was coming through there 3 weeks ago or so, and there is lighting out in the road or for Main Street, but it's not real bright. A gentleman got out in the median, and right as I got on him, or got in front of the store, he darted out in front of me. I like to hit him. He had on dark clothes. So I called a contact that I have with Duke Energy and said, hey, what would be involved in lighting this area up a little bit more so that, because you get a lot of foot traffic coming from the Kane Elementary side of Main Street going to that convenience store, especially at night. And so I called Duke Energy to find out what would be involved in lighting it up. He said, we can light it up. The problem we're gonna have is the City of Darlington's lighting ordinance. Anytime we've tried to light roadways up, Mr. Francis Parnell, I guess it is, has come back and complained. And I said, well, to me, safety is more important than that lighting ordinance in that area. So I talked to Howard about it, and then I called Curtis and talked to him about it. And so I'm coming to y'all tonight to figure out what we need to do or what we can do to try to make that area safer for people crossing that road. If it's gonna violate the lighting ordinance, I don't know what we can do to get around it, to shield the lights or whatever, but we need to do something. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's been a couple of people that's been hit, pedestrians that's been hit walking across that road in that area. So we need to do something to fix it.
If you can bring us a recommendation, we can look at amending the ordinance.
Like I said, when I talked to Duke said there's several different ways that they can light it up. They can put lights on the pole that would shine out in the road. They can put 16-foot standoffs on the poles to get the lights further out over the road. I don't know exactly what the city would want to do. I mean, I can get the different options.
It would probably help to know what exactly in our ordinance is prohibiting these,
I mean, what does
modifications from
Duke
being
say?
made.
What does, Duke Energy say prevents them from, what's in the ordinance that specifically stops?
I don't know that they actually know all the wordage of the ordinance, verbiage of the ordinance, but I know that they've had Francis Parnell call and complain. I believe he complained some about some of the lights that we put on Spring Street. Is that right? Is that right, Lisa? You know about that?
Probably.
The ones going down the hill at the park on Spring Street, when they put the LEDs, they're real bright. He's complained about that. Several people complained about it. But,
What he complains about typically, I was on the planning
It's a type.
commission with him, is the lumens. The lumens and,
Shielding.
the shielding.
you don't want it, point
Right,
up in the
if
sky.
it's going down more, then that's what he wants, or versus directional, but when it starts going up into the sky, that's where he has the biggest problem with, and that's what's been in the whole time.
From my understanding, of the lighting ordinance, there are products that can do what we want as far as lighting that street, that conform to our ordinance. In,
So I mean, if,
so I mean, there's a way to do it. I don't know exactly what they're having a problem with in here, but they make shielding, they make the things so that it will light where you want it to light and not light
because
everything.
when he discussed it with us before, the whole idea, like the ones that reach out, that gives the shielding, and it goes right down to the street, and gives sort of purpose that you're talking about, because he brought in several different studies from several different cities that did the same thing, and that's what most of our conversations revolved around, was that, which was very doable. And then he has problems with like Walmart places and places like that don't necessarily shield the lights as you go up, and those are his kinds of complaints, just so you're informed as to what he talks about typically in regards to that.
And based on the, in 2019, council amended this ordinance to make it more specific so that codes enforcement could be more specific to contractors, so they would know what is and is not acceptable, rather than having some vague terminology in it. This added more specifics, whether contractors or businesses approach the building office is, again,
You're
probably an
exactly right,
issue.
because I was on the planning commission at that time, because we
Let
presented.
me, okay, let me ask you. Duke Energy is saying that they will light it up. And the only reason that they have not has simply been, a resident or a citizen complaining,
Well,
cause I'm not hearing.
number
nothing
one,
specific.
to put more light in that area, that's something that the city has to initiate.
Okay,
The city has to call and say, hey, we need to lighten this area up a little bit more. At this point, the city hadn't done that.
okay.
That cost
So that's what
about,
I requested.
we can have that requested, we can list all the pole numbers. I think the upgrade of the fixture is anywhere from $50 and up additional to add, to replace fixtures that exist. Now on South Main Street specifically, I know there's areas where there's poles that don't have any lights on them at all, so that would be adding, lights.
And see, all I'm saying, I wanna address it because they were just in the area this week of upgrading or checking the poles all over well, I know they were all through Ward too, so I'm assuming they were all over the city. And one of the companies, because we have several streets just right around where I live, where it's just totally dark, it's a real hazard. And the answers that I got is that we can do whatever you want, we just have to get the request.
Well, can we get cut sheets from Duke or from Dominion, get cut sheets so we can see what our options are? I think that's what Mr. Milling was asking, just get cut
Well, I
sheets from
think
them
that's
to
certainly.
find out what fixtures are available to us, what the cost of them are.
Okay,
to
see,
make
like,
sure that
that's the
they-
second part. My thing is that if you're coming to us out, designating and showing us an area that needs lighting, I don't see why that part can't be done. That the city says, we need to do that.
We
If there's
just
a
need the
problem.
direction from y'all to say,
Yeah.
light
So-
it up, and we can bring you
Now,
the,
what I mean, to comply
specifics
with
and-
codes, they would already have to do that, but it seems like to me, we need to request to get it lit up in the areas that needs it.
Mr. Gardner.
Two areas that have been brought to my attention a few times and, that I think we also need to look at. First thing is get with Duke, get a list of the lights that are our options, there's a price difference, obviously, get that too, and then, compare it with our ordinance, see where it fits, or if we need to change something to pick a more appropriate light. The second thing is, Russell Street, John Seegers, is that the street you're off of?
Yep.
Health Department, Joe's Grill, right in that section, it's dark as can be, and everybody's walking through there from the health department and from the playground and stuff. So one light probably right there would light that whole little section. And then, Wyandotte, right at the curve, I know you've probably gotten a million calls about, but right at the hill at Wyandotte Street, I'd like to know the price of getting a light right there as well, cause that curve is as dangerous and black as can be.
If we could get a list from council members of areas of
Thank you.
concern, if you could just send it all to me and I'll contact the lighting folks at Duke and come up with some sort of plan. I don't believe, Duke Energy has been against us having a lighting ordinance traditionally. And so, they may just need some information from us to coordinate and make things, work.
We do need to increase the lighting on, from South Main Street out to Walmart. As Alex was saying, he texted me about this, I think we had, a tractor trailer truck hit a homeless person.
Several people have died on South Main Street.
So it's,
Crossing.
it's been a problem for years. We have the power to address it. As long as the lights are shielded down, it shouldn't be a problem. I've talked with some of the neighbors that live on South Main Street, they're in favor of it. You just have so many folks that are walking back and forth, and they don't, a lot of times don't have on reflective clothing.
Not at all.
And so, you really have to watch yourself, at sunrise and sunset, because it's hard to see. It's always been like that along that street, because of those, sodium vapor lights that we have there.
Well, if by this Friday, if everybody could email Lisa maybe spots that you think would be bad,
Okay.
need help.
That way I can get poll numbers to Duke Energy and get a cost
If
estimate.
you can get a poll, if you can take a second, get out and get a poll number, if you can,
Oh, yeah. I
give her a
got
basic
mine.
area.
Basic area or address is
Yeah.
If
fine.
you get the phone number, then, we can address,
Very
make all these
good.
years about it. Okay?
All right, sounds
Thank
good.
you. All right, any questions from the department heads?
Yeah, on the water, it just seems like we, for the last couple of, meetings, it just simply says that, we're still working on these lift stations. I'd just like to see at one time some kind of movement there, and to tell us where you're working. Is it just at a standstill, or just what? Because there's just so many different problems. And I see, you said no major, and please tell me what the situation is on Jessamine. I did stop with the fellas out there, and, they said they put new pipings, but I came through there today and almost wrecked. Cause it's, whatever it is, the holes are still there, but they were, when I stopped through there on, Friday, no, it might have not been Friday.
We talking about stormwater?
It could have been, no,
Well,
but I thought,
you
they
talking-
said it
you
was
talking-
sewage, they said it was backed up
I'm
sewage.
lost too, I don't know if anything going
Who
on.
are you talking to? Who are you
I'm
speaking
just-
with about the water that's on the road?
No, these guys I stopped because they had the big heavy equipment digging down, and they said they had to put all new pipings in there, but it was sewage backup.
Oh,
Sewage,
they making repair on the street yet.
but a repair and putting in new pipes and everything, but I'm just saying, whatever they finished, it's full of water again. It's still full of water, and I was driving kinda slow and still hit I went down so hard, the car almost went over there on the side. We gotta, and then see, the other thing about like this get kind of, upset about it because you said we had no major problems this month, and yet everywhere I'm going, we got
Well,
major problems.
I'm talking major problems like Broad Street, is what I call a major problem.
Well, that's a, well,
That's
see,
that's a routine problem, a sewer leak's a routine problem to me.
it may be to you, but those residents in there are complaining, and
Yeah.
I'm getting it, and I experienced it myself.
Yeah, but I mean, that, I say routine because
Let's not-
we have them all over town.
Let's not minimize our taxpayers over there.
I don't minimize any area, but I'm just saying there's so many, or they're so numerous that we, that's a daily routine, and we probably got 2 or 3 on the list right now.
But I want you to please check on Justin Mine, and see
Okay.
what's going on over
But
there.
it's hard to do street repair right now in the rain, that's the problem with Broad Street, is.
Well, yeah, I can imagine, but the sewage thing was very, I mean, you know, they said they would replace the pipes, so we got it worked out, and they may have the sewage.
Yeah, they
Now,
got
water
pipe too,
system,
but
they've got a big
it's,
hole.
street repair right now is a nightmare trying to with this rain.
Right.
Next time we go out to Country Club Road to fix, there's now 2 water leaks. You know, there was the original one we fixed it a couple weeks ago, it's back, and there's another one there now as well. So can we make sure our management's out there when they're doing the repair, cause we're getting, we're having to fix the leak at the exact same spot, half a dozen, maybe a dozen times now, and that's a waste of all of our time. So.
It's bad, and I told Howard it's coming when they run that equipment over that vibrating equipment paving them streets. It finds every bad spot it is out.
I understand.
And that's for you, not just in Darlington, but anywhere you see a brand new street paved, go back a month or 2 later and see a water leak, is that vibrating works on those old rusty lines.
And I'm fine with that, place it in the exact same
Yeah.
spot where they fixed last time.
Yeah,
These 2 spots are not new street spots, they're the main entrance road and right there in front of Dr. Eads' house and along in that area are the 2 that I know have opened back up.
And there's at the curve where they've been there forever.
That's a lot of it, is the majority of a lot of that pipe in the country club is just shot. And the contractor, when it built, it was put in cheap, and it's literally falling apart right now. But I agree with you, and I get on about that, don't put another clamp when you got one a foot away, cut at least some of the pipe out or do something.
Yeah, I think just cut 20 feet, 10 feet, move out of that section.
So on First Street, that, manhole I mentioned to y'all, not manhole, that pot, that sinkhole on First Street a couple of months ago. Did you go out and check the sinkhole or what?
Yeah, we checked it, Frankie checked it, it's solid, it's sunk in kinda like D Avenue did around that manhole, there was no problem when they filled it back in, and when they dug it up, it was solid down there.
It's not a manhole, it's on the side of the street, in front of Ms. Ross. Right on the corner of Ms. Ross's mailbox, on the side of the street is where the sinkhole is forming at. It has an orange cone sitting in it.
We looked at it, but I don't remember Miss Backles, I have to check it again. But I know Frankie looked at it.
Lisa, could you get with the sewer department and get your figures together again for the back of the country club on expanding that sewer line? And just make sure those are as, up to date and as accurate as we can get them as a guesstimate.
Alex, the problem that we're having over on Abe Lincoln, you said the state gonna have to go out and dig up the pipes or the drain line?
The state is actually supposed to go in there, and they're gonna dig it up, and, he said that they weren't gonna, they would dig it up and they would lay pipe where driveways were at, but they were not gonna lay pipe where they could drive across the yard. He said that's supposed to be open flow ditches in between, driveways, is what Treasurer Scarborough told me. Now, he didn't give me a timeline as to when they were gonna go in there and dig it out, but he said they would go in there and dig it out and get it flowing on that side.
So was it originally
He said that,
Cause I don't ever remember seeing a ditch there.
well, he said that the plans that they have showed an open flood ditch, but I don't know how old those plans are, and when that was done. But I do know that it is, it's black corrugated pipe, and that's not something that typically the state would put in. Whether the city went in and put it in, I don't know. I mean, I've been here 3.5 years. It wasn't done since I've been here, so I don't know if somebody did go in there and put it in there years ago. But Treasurer said they would go in there and dig it out and get it where it would float and see what's going on. But he said that they would not put the pipe back all the way across the yard.
Well, I want you to, get a price for me for what it would cost to put those pipes back. Cause I know the city put those pipes there because I got that information a while back from when Callan was here. So I knew he had those pipes put in there. And I don't know why the city went in and put those plastic pipes from the start.
Well, if we're gonna put a plastic pipe down, we need to put a double wall pipe down. So
Well, I don't think it needs to be a plastic pipe. I'm just saying that was what they put down before.
But what my recommendation would be is let the state do what they're gonna do and figure out how much area is actually open. And then we can look at it and go from there. I can price it out and we can see. I mean, I don't think it'll be a hard thing to do. Just city got to approve spending money.
Well, I still wanna know what the price is to replace the section.
Oh, Alice, I just thought about it, did we get some kind of response about St. James at the big sinkhole over there?
I went over there and looked at it,
Yeah.
and that hole's deeper than any piece of equipment we got that'll work.
I know.
It's probably, it wouldn't surprise me if it's not 15 foot deep. And my track hoe only goes about 12 to 14 foot, and our track hoe won't go that deep. So there again, that'll be something that we'll have to get pricing on and let council, I guess, vote on. This I don't know how much it costs. It might not be a major fix, but knowing how all the rest of the infrastructure is over in that area, it might be a major fix. So,
Oh, God.
and if our track hoe would go that deep, I would take my guys over there and we'd fix it like we've done in other areas, but ours won't go that deep.
Ooh, so will you get a price for it? And that, I mean, that's part of us, right? Yeah.
Best thing to do is, we get a dry period where I can put the camera in there and see how much is actually collapsed, so we know what kind of footage we're looking at. Then that'll be, cause it looks like there's a couple other areas around there that's trying to sink as well.
Mhm.
So that tells me that there's more problems than just that one hole in that parking lot.
Yeah. Well, just to say, I would like to be able to tell them that we're making some effort to see what can be done to correct it.
I'll get with Howard, we'll look at it and I'll see if I can't get the camera. I know as much rain as we've had here lately.
Yeah,
Cause that's the main outfall for, Sycamore Street and everything else, so, we have to get a dry time where there's not water in it, and I'll put the camera in it, and we can see what we got.
And we're hoping the repairs and the work that DOT's doing on Orange and Well Streets will alleviate a lot of those issues that are upstream from that outfall. That's one of the areas.
Yeah.
Cause we've also had problems on North Sycamore, right beside CRC.
Oh, okay.
So that's in that same general area. And there's also been a problem over on South Sycamore, between South Sycamore and West Hampton Street and the Rescue Squad parking lot. All that area feeds into that one area.
Oh, my.
It's like trying to connect the dot, but not knowing where all the dots are. As I've mentioned before, in years past, at St. John's Elementary School in the parking lot in 2015, there was a 30-foot sinkhole that was about 5 foot across. Lady's car went in it like that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not just.
It's not just in our program.
Yeah, it's all over town.
We got this, okay.
So last question, Alice, did you get a chance to follow back up on Brunson Street? remember when we went, and we was looking at that catch basin that had the opening on this side?
On which street?
Brunson Street.
That's why we did one of the asphalt
Remember when
demos.
we did the last training, when you did with the asphalt machine?
You say Chestnut?
No,
Brunson.
Brunson Street. Treasurer, let's see, Treasurer, we did go out there and look at it. He was gonna get with the railroad and see how far they could get toward the railroad. They were gonna go in and try to dig that out. What he's telling me is they've got such a long backlog of trying to get all this mess cleaned out. He was trying to tell me that that flowed back the other way. I told him it didn't flow back, it flowed back toward that ditch. So, anyway, but I mean, you can look at it and tell, if you look at the depths of the different manholes, starting at Jessamine all the way down, you can tell which way it flows. But, he said they had a long backlog, but he was gonna see if they could, get with the railroad, see how close they could get to the railroad bed. And, then they were gonna dig it out. But I'll call him tomorrow and see if he's got any other information on that.
But you on this side of the street where the ditch is at. I'm referring to the other side. Remember where the catch basin was sitting on the corner?
Yeah, now they were supposed to
And that
replace that
opening
top.
on the side of, and they supposed to do something about that, so nobody fell in the hole?
Yeah, they were supposed to replace that top. I can check with him and see. I haven't, to be honest with you, I hadn't been back over there to see. Have you looked to see if they replaced it?
I hadn't. been
Yeah, he
there.
said he was gonna put in a work order. I'll ride over there in the morning and see if they, replaced it. If not, I'll call him. That should be a simple fix. Digging that ditch out will be a little bit more aggravating.
Right, but I'm more concerned about that catch basin, cause that lady live on this corner, and the next one and the next one all have grandkids that's playing around in that area.
Yeah.
And I'm
We
more
got
concerned
one
about
on-
that catch basin.
We got one on
right there.
Cassia Street that I've called them about several times too. Somebody finally put a cone down in it. The grapes laying up on the curb, so,
That was in Cashwell?
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Alex, any update? I know you said you got the new hot patch machine in.
We got the hot patch machine in. I've given all the paperwork to Mrs. Roy and them. I'm not sure if we got to have, tags on that trailer or not. But we're waiting on all the title and stuff and the tags for the trailer so we can put it on the road. I guess they weren't gonna send us the title until we sent them the check, so, I guess we got the check out to them, so we should be getting the title anytime.
All right, thank you. Wells Street, I think they're supposed to start possibly tomorrow, is that correct? Have you heard anything else?
They were supposed to start today, but they were scared off by the rain.
Okay. They're waiting to see if they can find another, gas line, so they're planning on starting tomorrow.
They were doing some locations out there in town.
Good. And, Pat, everything fine with everybody at the fire department?
Yes, sir.
Anything else you need, or good? Got good?
We'll take it day by day.
Okay. All right, and, Howard, on Washington Street, you said Mrs. Harkless's,
308 Washington.
you said that was turned over to Davis and Brown?
That's correct.
No word on that yet or anything?
No, they're getting the engineering schematics from Urban Engineering. I asked for it in November and did not hear back, and I called again, and they said they sent them, never did, so I just handed it off to Davis and Brown. It's better for engineers, help the engineer, I believe.
Sheila, can you give us an update on house demos, or is there anything in the works to be demoed out, or?
The next one that we're gonna do is on Washington Street, right across from the Hartsville Oil Mill. But with the rain, and then just the holidays and all that, through the holidays, I just stopped the demo program, and then we'll pick it back up, this month. And that's the first one that we're gonna do is on Washington Street, across from the Hartsville, the oil mill. And then we'll go across the street on the other side of South Main. And there's
The ones on,
D.
One's on Circuit Street, off Circuit Street on Broad Street, right there, that, in the woods there, and so forth, that area. Are they already on the list, or?
No, those aren't on the list. We'll have to, it's on the list that's gonna be updated, that I have to bring before council either next month or the month after that. I have to get with Howard.
possibly bringing this next month in that area is even worse. It's even worse now than when we were about before, it's just, I'm sure they dump trash all down that whole side, I went through there again today, and it's just, people standing on corners and.
Have we sent all the proper paperwork to this
We
property?
have sent the proper paperwork, so they can be added to the list.
Is the Chief Washington still here?
Yeah, he's right there.
That area on the end of, I was talking about before, the house being torn down the end of Circuit Street, and Broad Street, is that, can you just watch that area a little bit more, just a lot of.
I heard Broad Street, so I'm
Broad,
sorry.
at the end of, Circuit Street, Broad Street.
Those apartments, those little shopping houses.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a lot of activity in that area there, just doesn't seem like, so just, you can kind of watch that area.
Sure.
Try to see if we get the area cleaned up more.
Okay.
You have any issues, anybody else, any issues from anybody, am I good?
Sir, the only thing I would like to add with that is, one of the things that we've been doing, with our problem areas is that we've been determining who the owners of those properties are. Because we've got property owners that are accepting rent, and they're allowing these people to come in to those communities and create havoc. And so I've been reaching out to those those property owners, those landlords, and holding them just as accountable as the people that are in the community that are creating the problem, because they can get those people out of that community quicker than we can. And so, that's one of the things that we've been kind of working. It's been pretty successful so far.
If we can get some of the, in that particular area, there's I know she can't go in and take all 4 at one time.
Sure.
But there's 4+ houses in that area that's, in desperate need of being removed.
Absolutely.
And anytime you get that much stuff going on, it just causes issues.
Sure.
All right. All right, any further discussion, am I good? Any comments? All right, reminders of Monday, January the 18th, 2021, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, the city offices will be closed. The next meeting will be Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2021, with the monthly meeting, Darlington City Council, 6:30 p.m. here again, and we'll determine whether it's going to be open or closed to the public at that time. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Everybody in favor? Thank you.